Yo, it's your boy DZ, man. You already know it's not about the setback, it's about the get back. I want to appreciate everyone that's became a member, that subscribed to the channel, and that watches the channel. I appreciate y'all. If you haven't already, hit that notification bell. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we go live. I appreciate all of y'all that rock with me, and I hope y'all continue to rock with me. What's poppin', fam? SBGB fam. What's poppin', man? I appreciate all y'all that be rocking with me, man. And y'all know DZ is consistent and I'm always here. You hear me? And you know, we live every day. I give people the opportunity to call in, to be able to engage in the topics. You know, I give everybody a voice, right? But importantly, right, I respect people, right? So it's very important that others respect people. And we can't have it whereas though people that say they support the channel are disrespecting other people that support the channel. And that's important, man, because I respect everybody. So it's important that you respect everybody so that, you know, we can all be family and have good dialogue. Ain't no way that we supposed to be over here beefing with each other. That's corny to me. You hear me? There is no way. And I'ma just keep it a buck. If you're that type of person where you gotta beef with the people that's in the chat, you gotta stay in the chat. That's what you want to do. Stay in the chat. If they decide to ignore you, they decide to ignore you. But I can't give you the ability to call in to beef with people. That ain't gonna work. Cause I got enough people that, you know, are riding with whack that, you know, want to go against SBGB TV that I gotta go at and defend at the same time, you know, making sure that we stay solid, right? So I can't rock with anybody personally that's beefing with the people that's rocking with me, right? Because there's thousands of people that rock with me. So if there's thousands of people that rock with me, there's not gonna be one person that feels like they're superior to the thousands of people that rock with me. I'm not building a one-person squad. I'm building a big unit. And I'm trying to make sure that we spread out far. So it ain't gonna be able to happen if, you know, I got somebody trying to pull the team down. So we gotta understand, it's your decision to do whatever you want to do, and I can't stop you. But what I can stop is from you having a voice to have beef with people. And that's gonna stop right now. You hear me? If you get out of pocket when I allow you to call in, then you just gonna get your calling privileges revoked. I'm not dealing with that, especially going at our people. We together. That's that stuff that Wack do. Go at his own people. So I ain't with it. And, you know, I'm going to keep it solid with that. And if that's your style, then that's your style. But that don't mean that I got to deal with it, you know. And shout out to all the people that rock with SBGB TV. All the people that are members of SBGB TV, shout out to all y'all. Because y'all all add value to the channel. Y'all all support the channel. A lot of y'all are here every time we go live. A lot of y'all are in the chat putting your input, telling people to subscribe, share, you know, sharing the lives. making sure that the channel gets noticed. So y'all all add value. You know, no matter how much your membership is, you add value to the channel. And I gotta let everybody know that. But, you know, I only can take but so much. You feel me? If it's disturbing the platform, I can't get jiggy with it, man. And you can't tell me that you not disrespecting me, but blatantly disrespect me, the same stuff that Whack does, and think I'm supposed to be all right with it. That's foul. You know, that's the same exact stuff that Whack do. Blatantly disrespect people and then tell them I'm not disrespecting. The truth can't be considered as disrespect. So I can't get jiggy with that. And, you know, shout out to all the people that been rocking with me, that support the channel. And, you know, I appreciate all of y'all. And y'all know, like, I'm respectful to everybody. That's the thing. The people on the channel, y'all ain't seen me get out of pocket with nobody that didn't deserve for me to get out of pocket with. I'm always allowing people to talk. I'm always listening to people. I'm always giving people the voice, especially even if I disagree with you. I might sit there and tell you, yo, I don't agree with this, and, you know, chill on that, or don't say this, but I still give you the voice. But some people, you know, act like this ain't my channel. I'm like, hold up. I be on here day in and day out. Day in and day out. Going hard in the paint. Like, even if certain people ain't here, I'm here because somebody's here. So, man, we gotta have some respect, man. Especially for the people that's a part of the channel. How are we gonna have beef with people that's a part of the channel? That's out of pocket. And I don't rock with that. You know what I mean? And I gotta let that be known. You know, if you choose not to support me because I don't give you the platform to disrespect the others that's on the platform and a part of the platform, so be it. Hey, man, life goes on. How many brothers fell victim to the streets? Rest in peace, young nigga. Is there heaven for a G? I'd be a lie if I told you that I never thought of death. My nigga, we the last ones left. And I'm going to continue to be solid, man. You know, that's one thing about DZ. I'm going to continue to be solid the way I've been. I ain't changing who I am for nobody. And that's a fact. I'm going to be how I be. The people that rock with me, they rock with me for me. But I ain't, no. And sometimes, right, I have turned, you know, down and let people say certain things that I should have checked from the door. And, you know, eventually I'll check it. And, you know, that stuff is over, man. Straight up. If you violating the channel, you're not respecting me. And I'm just going to keep it like that. If you violating the channel, you're not respecting me. So you can't tell me that you got respect for me at the same time you violating the channel. Like, come on, man. And if you got issues at home, leave them at home. If you need some personal counseling, you can talk to me on the side. If you want to pay for that service and I need to listen to your personal issues outside of this, and you can reach out and say, listen, can I pay for some personal services? Then we can talk about that. But to vent to the people that support me and disrespect them, that's a violation, man. I'm not disrespecting the people that support me. How am I gonna let somebody else do that? That don't even make sense if we just being real. I'm respecting the people that support me. How are you gonna do that? But yeah, man, I had to clear that up, and get that understood, because I ain't going for it, man. I ain't gonna lie, man. And yesterday, I had to laugh from saying, some out of pocket things. I just had to laugh because I'm like, come on, man. Damn. And I don't want nobody on the channel, right, to get a visual of me disrespecting the people that rock with me. I don't want that. You hear me? So I gotta be mindful, and from what I see now, right, I gotta keep everybody like this. You hear me? It's all love, but I gotta keep everybody like this, because I notice when I start, dialoguing with certain people, they get out of pocket. And I'm like, damn. But when I keep everybody like this, it allows me to keep the boundaries. Don't nobody go over the boundaries. But soon as I be like open and dialoguing with people, they just get out of line. And that be too much for me, because then it take me back to my younger days, because I was wicked, man. I'm sitting here telling y'all got a changed person, right? And probably in the future, right, people that know me, they gonna come out and say, man, y'all look at this guy like this, and he used to be like this, and he used to be like that. I'm a changed person, man. Straight up. I can run you to the ground, and I'm talking about seriously, but I'm not that type of person. I like to have good dialogue, conversation, and I want to have respect for everybody, and everybody have respect for me. And if there is no respect, there is no conversation. And I just got to keep it like that, because I don't want to get to that point where I'm disrespecting people. And the show is just me disrespecting people, because I'm going to keep it a buck, right? And I got to keep it real. Once something like that happens, right, it becomes a habit. And people got to understand that. And I understand this. When you start doing things, it become a habit. So if I start popping off at people all the time in the chat, it's going to become normal for me to instantly snap at you. And I don't want to do that, because I restructured the way that I talk to people, the way that I deliver. So I don't ever deliver like that, because once upon a time in my younger days, I was a firecracker to whoever. You wasn't talking out of pocket to me, nobody. Now I got growth, I'm stronger, and I know how to ignore some things, and I know how to block some things out. So I'd appreciate it if everybody gives everybody that respect that's a part of the channel. I understand that there's some people that come over here that are not members, and they looking to troll, and those are the trolls. But you can't be a member and acting like a troll and at war with the people. It just let me know that this gotta be something that go on at home. This must be how you beef with your family, because if we supposed to be family, right, ain't no way that we should be at war with each other regardless the disagreement. There's no way, if we supposed to be family. Now, if we ain't family, then I understand that. But if we supposed to be family from another, there is no way that we're supposed to be having internal beef. Straight up. And I hope that, that's understood. If it's not, I'll be glad to show people how I cut you off and how I won't deal with you. You know, I love everybody that supports the channel, right? And I appreciate anybody that donates to the channel. But do not think because you donate to the channel, you run shit over here. I have to let that be known. Do not think because you donate to the channel that you run shit. It don't work like that with me. I always been a getting money dude, and nobody runs me. And that's just how it goes, and that's how it's gonna be. I understand that I'm in the building process. I'm being consistent. I'm here, and it's just a process of building. But you can't think that you run nothing over here, because it don't work like that. If you support because you genuinely care. You genuinely rock with me. You feel something that I'm talking about. You rock with me because you see the style, not because you think that you trying to run the channel or have seniority. Straight up. And I'm just keeping it a buck, man. Hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button, man. Shout out to all y'all, man. You hear me? Shout out to all y'all that rock with me, man. But yeah, we're going to get into it, man. I had to put that out there because it needed to be said. So, the college football star, Kyren Lacy, he was wrongfully accused of an accident that he didn't cause. And he was charged with neglect, homicide, vehicular. And he ended up taking his own life because I can see that he know he didn't do it. His football dreams was damaged of going to the NFL, and it crushed him. But I say this to anyone out there, right? Even if you're wrongfully accused of something, don't make the first decision to harm yourself. Because anything you going through in life, it will get better. Anything. Don't have your first decision to harm yourself or anyone else, because everything will get better. Most of the time, things will work themselves out. Straight up. Most of the time, they will work themselves out. If you know you didn't do something, you got to fight the situation. And it's messed up that the justice system is bad, whereas though they got other human beings that can make up lies and affect your life and put you through a process that they don't have to really worry about, and it doesn't affect them, but it affects you, and you got to fight to prove your innocence, right? Because the boy Kyren Lacy, he didn't do anything of what they said. After they reviewed the evidence and they looked into it and seen video surveillance, they see that he wasn't even involved in the accident at all. He had nothing to do with the accident. He was behind, cars behind when the accident happened. And all he did was go around the accident. That's it. All he did was go around. If they want to say he was wrong for not stopping to make sure somebody is okay, that's foul. But he didn't have no part in the accident whatsoever. It had nothing to do with him. He went around the accident. They charged him. It made it look like he was the one that caused the death. It's crazy. And they really held it on that man. It made that man go take his own life. That's ill. You know, his football dreams, of going to the NFL was cut short because he wasn't no longer invited because of the accident, the accusations, the charges. And it's deep. They don't care at all. You know, understand it, man. Things happen in life, but they don't care. Them people out there doing that job out there, they alive and they don't care. Whatever consequence you suffer behind it, they don't care. You know, but I said to anybody, man, when you're going through something in life, don't think about harming yourself or someone else to make things better, because it's going to get better. Everything works itself out. When you in a situation, you feel like it's the end of the world. And this is literally, whenever you in a situation, you feel like it's the end of the world, especially if it's a severe situation. You feel like, man, I don't know what to do. Ain't nothing else I can do. This is the end for me. And I promise you, it always works itself out. Listen to your boy DZ, because I've been through so many things in my life. And it was times that I felt like snapping. Now, I'm going to be real, right? I never felt like taking myself out, but I felt like snapping on everybody else. And that's just me being honest. I felt like snapping on everybody else, but I never felt like doing nothing to me, right? So it's like, but I had to talk to myself in those situations. Like, yo, DZ, it's going to be all right, man. You got a lot ahead of you. You got a life. You know, it's all going to go away. You know, whatever it is. And every single time, I mean, every single time, it worked itself out. It'll never work itself out right when you want it to. Nah. You know, you expect it to be worked out right then and there. You want things to be fixed now. I needed to get right now, and I'm feeling this and everything. It don't work like that. It's a process, and the process is usually dreadful and it's slower, but it always corrects itself and things align back up as long as you work towards it. Don't sit in no slump thinking that this is it, because it ain't it. As long as you living and breathing, you got opportunity, man. You know, it's just mental. Straight up. It's all mental that take you to that state where you feel like it ain't nothing you can do, but it's not true. It's plenty you can do. Change your direction. Keep moving. And things will always work itself out. But Kyren Lacy felt like it was the end of the world. He was young. I think he was about 21. He was young. And he was thinking that it was end of the world. That's it. In all actuality, you know, this would have came out later and showed that he didn't do anything. His name would have been cleared. Maybe he would have had another shot at the NFL. But he thought that because his dreams of going to the NFL was over, that it was no more for him. There was nothing he could do. It was it. Straight up. And come to find out, he had nothing to do with the situation at all, man. Smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and share this live. You know, man, I appreciate all of y'all that rock with SBGB TV. And I'm going to put this up here now. You know, let me put this up here now so that everyone can see this here, where it was proven that he was innocent. Yeah, this is, you know, the video of the accident where it was proven that he was innocent. he wasn't the one that caused the crash. Dirty. Hit that like button, man. If you haven't already, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, and share this live. You know, I appreciate all of y'all that rock with SBGB TV, and that's a fact. But check this out right here. And I'm gonna let y'all see the accident that happened, showing that he wasn't the one that caused the crash. He came after the crash happened. That was dirty though. Hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button.
Just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall.
There.
You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
Green Charger.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that, multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that, multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that.
Yeah. So the police lied on the man. The police lied on the man. He never caused the accident. He never was involved with the accident. It was never his actions that made the accident happen. And they ended that man's career of being a football star, and his life was taken by himself. An attorney for late Kyren Lacy, the former LSU wide receiver who died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound in April after he was charged with neglect homicide and felony hit and run, said Friday that Lacy's car was far behind the accident at the time of impact. Speaking over a surveillance video that caught the December 17, 2024 collision in Lafourche Parish, Louisiana, attorney Matt Ory told Homa LA TV station HTV10 that Lacy's car was so far behind the collision it was not visible in the video at the time of the accident. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars, Ory said. However, he was back in his lane, traveling 92.3 yards, back in his lane behind the car occupying the man killed in the crash. He's 72.6 yards behind the vehicle at the time of the impact. Key word, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was painted. Never. According to reports, police allege Lacy crossed a center line in an attempt to pass slower vehicles, which caused a pickup truck to brake and swerve to avoid Lacy's car. Another vehicle then allegedly swerved to avoid the pickup and crossed the center lane, crashing head on with the vehicle containing Herman Hall 78. Hall later died at the hospital. The video depicts an SUV colliding head on with another vehicle. Part of the collision is obscured by a parked vehicle, with the vehicle behind the SUV coming to a stop nearly 4 seconds later. A car identified by Ory as the same as the one driving by Lacy appears in the camera, slowed down, and appears to go around the accident. He never hit nobody, never was involved. Lacy was later charged with neglect homicide, felony hit and run, with the death of reckless operation of a vehicle. And surrendered to police in mid-January. On the night of April 12th, 2 days ahead of his scheduled grand jury appearance, Lacy, 24, he was 24 years old, led authorities on a pursuit before crashing in Spring, Texas. When deputies removed Lacy from the car to take him into custody, they found him with the gunshot wound, and he was pronounced dead at the scene by emergency responders, the Harris County Sheriff's Office said. Man took his life. He was so nervous and distraught about this case. They talking about homicide. He took himself out and didn't even do nothing because they was falsely accusing him of something he didn't do. Lacy, a native of Thibodaux, Louisiana, caught 58 passes for 166 yards and shared the Southeastern Conference lead with 9 touchdown receptions in 12 games in 2024. He finished his collegiate career with 162 catches for 2,360 yards and 26 touchdowns in 64 games with Louisiana in 2020-21. At LSU 2022-24, largely viewed as an NFL prospect, Lacy's name was not on the list of players invited to the NFL Scouting Combine when it was released in mid-February. a month after Lacy's arrest. Sick. His life, his dreams was to become an NFL star. Straight up. His life and his dreams was to become an NFL star. Falsely accused of a crime. Tore that all the way up. Made him want to take himself out. You never know what you doing to somebody can make them want to do to themselves. And authorities, they got so much power, you know, people that are not that mentally strong might have strong abilities in other areas. They might want to do something to themselves if they feel they don't know which way to go. And I see in this situation, he didn't know which way to go. You know, he couldn't understand that eventually this was going to come out, knowing that he didn't do anything. All he thought about was the judicial process and that he was being charged. He had to go to the grand jury. And, you know, you get these informations from, you know, people that start telling you, man, this might be bad. This might be serious. You know, they going to charge you with this, and not understanding that he really had a shot. You know, he had a shot to, you know, get to the NFL, to get the charges dismissed. But the judicial system took all the energy and the fight out of it. All those years in college, you know, performing to get to a certain level, and that happened. It's crazy. Appreciate you gifting those memberships, D-Twin. Facts. Yeah, man, you never know, man. That's deep, though. Hit that like button, man, and hit that subscribe button, man. That is deep. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, hit that subscribe button, man. Let me see here. Hit that like button. Yeah, that's deep, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. You never know. He says, following the crash, LSP conducted a detailed investigation with the assistance of crash reconstruction experts and with all available information at the time. Investigative findings revealed that Mr. Lacy reckless driving while approaching oncoming traffic led to the events of the crash. The findings were presented to the 17th Judicial District Court, which approved an arrest warrant based on the evidence collected as with an investigation leading to arrest. The subject of investigations are presumed innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. No one disputes that he was behind the crash scene. He swerved past cars and reckless operation caused a series of events. We can't go for that. You know, this is what they tried to come up with. They wanted to make a story up and put it on the man. Literally. And say that because he swerved around, it was his fault. The accident happened in front of him. He was behind the accident. But they put it all on that man. You know, man, you never know, man. I tell you, you never know. He was wrongfully framed. Yeah. I think those officers should be held accountable, you know, because obviously they didn't do any investigation. They just made an assumption. You know, they might even took the word of somebody that was involved in the accident that tried to make it seem a certain way, like that person wouldn't lie. I really think the officers should be held accountable. You know, if you wrote a false report and lied about something that didn't happen at all, and it had that man wanting to take his life because he was a college kid looking at his college dreams, it's like you stole it from him. You know, your lies, your deceit is like you stole it from him, and your life just goes on. You go home with your family every day when you take the job of a police officer and you're out there, it's important that you get it right, or that shouldn't be a job that you take. And that's just real. It's important that you get it right, and it should be somebody that look behind it to make sure that it's right, and not just take the word of somebody that they say sworn oath and just believe them. Yeah. Put a whole case on somebody that didn't have anything to do with the case. And the man took his own life behind it, man. Straight up. Smash that like button and hit the subscribe button, man. Definitely foul. And I know, his family is sick about that, because they, been looking towards that man going to the NFL, the way he was performing out there. And it's like instantly, and I'm sure that, he wasn't talking like that probably with his people, but he thinking to himself, I'm ready to go to jail for a long time. Officers weaponizing their job and the judicial system with lies. Man, it's foul. It's like when you think about it, like Wack running around here doing the work for the police, but at the same time, he working with the police. It's like, man, these are the people that you taking your word from. These are the people that you making a case from. Like, certain things should be off limits, man. This is who you take your credibility from. Somebody that's running around here causing violence. And you really let this person hold weight in your decision making. And they the ones causing violence, Hit that like button, man. Hit the subscribe button. Share the live. It's deep though, man. And I appreciate all y'all that be rocking with me. Let me see here. It's deep, man. And you never know. You never know, man. Let me see here. It's a recent Instagram post from October 2025 alleged that the police lied during the investigation into the fatal crash involving LSU player Kyren Lacy, who died by suicide in April 2025. New body camera footage allegedly shows an officer directing a witness statement, raising questions about the initial investigation. An Instagram post from October 2025 claims that the new evidence proves Lacy was innocent of charges related to the crash. Police have defended their initial findings, stating that Lacy reckless driving caused the crash. Lacy agent claimed in January 2025 that his client was cooperating with authorities. That's deep, man. The man told him a true statement that he ain't had nothing to do with it. Gave his point on it, and they ain't believe him. They ain't believe him. Why didn't they believe him? What was the reason that they didn't believe nothing he was saying about this accident? Why couldn't they take his word? He was a college kid, NFL dreams, but they couldn't take his word. They went with somebody else's word, and the video shows something else. Come on, man. That'd be deep. Yeah, I think the officer definitely need to be held accountable. Yeah, the officer needs to be held accountable for sure. Smash that like button and hit the subscribe button. Let me see here. Hit that subscribe button, man, and smash that like button. Let me see here. Kyren Lacy's attorney provided potential evidence in an attempt to prove the innocence of the late LSU star over charges he was facing before dying by suicide in April. Lacy was under investigation in Louisiana for a crash in December that left 78-year-old Herman Hall, a passenger, dead. Officials said in January he was accused of reckless driving, speeding, and passing in a no-passing zone when the motorist swerved to avoid Lacy and it crashed into another vehicle. And we all know that's a lie. The video showed none of that. He went around after the crash. That's ill, though. Yo, that's ill. The officer said that the accident happened because the person swerved to avoid him. Ain't had nothing to do with it. Yeah. Had nothing. You know, maybe they expected that there wasn't no cameras around. You know, maybe they expected that there wasn't no cameras around and they was going to be able to say whatever they wanted to say and just leave it like that. Because that was foul. He said, however, in an interview with HTV10, Lacy's attorney, Matthew Orr, provided video that appeared to show Lacy's vehicle well behind the crash and that he was more than 200 feet away from the cars upon impact. We know from the data Kyren Lacy did not in fact pass 4 cars. There is no disputing further north Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars or began. However, he was back in his lane to travel 92 yards back in his lane behind Mr. Hall at the time of impact. He's 72.6 yards behind the vehicle at the time of the impact, keyword behind the vehicle. That is not how the story was painted, never. Or he also provided data that showed another vehicle 2 tailgating the truck that crashed into the vehicle Hall was in, going nearly 50 miles per hour, just 0.5 seconds behind it and 1.5 seconds before the crash. Or also provided body cam footage of an officer talking to a man in the truck who claimed that the driver of vehicle 2 caused the crash, despite police telling the man to write down specific regards Lacy in a statement, which was ultimately refused. The officer tried to tell a witness that seen what happened that he didn't see what happened. It was something else. That he literally didn't see what happened. That it was something else. Man telling you, no, that's not what happened. And you're not even there telling the man, no, this would happen. Wow. 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 Yeah, that's deep. Louisiana State Police released the following statement to Fox News Digital in response to Ori's evidence. Following the crash, LSP conducted a detailed investigation with the assistance of the crash reconstruction experts and with all available information at the time. Investigative findings revealed that Mr. Lacy's reckless driving while approaching oncoming traffic led to the events of the crash. And we all see that that's a lie. Everybody sees that that was a lie. The findings were presented to the 17th Judicial District Court, which approved an arrest warrant based on the evidence collected. So that lets you know that when they go present their evidence, they make it up. This is how they get indictments. That lets you know when they present their evidence to the court that they make it up. And the foul thing about when they present the evidence to the court, the judges don't even make sure that it's thorough. They just say, all right, I believe my officers. And then let you figure out the process. That part of the process really needs to be taken a look at because they just bring whatever. If they say it, the judge agree with it. All right, put a warrant out for them. You're right. It don't got to be thorough investigated. It's just that their officer said it, and that's what it is. Smash that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button, man. Crazy. It says, as with all investigations leading to arrest, the subjects of the investigation are presumed innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. But the crazy thing is, yeah, he's presumed innocent until guilty, but it damaged his whole career. The NFL don't want to draft nobody that got open charges for a vehicular homicide. They don't want nothing to do with that. Straight up. No one disputes that he was behind the crash scene. He swerved past cars and reckless operation caused the series of crash events. That's a lie, though. That's a lie. You know, that's plain as day. No matter if they try to say back down the road, he went around somebody and he swerved around. Even if they try to come up with that assumption, right? That he went down, you know, around somebody back there. That accident that we seen had nothing to do with him. Literally, that accident had nothing to do with him. It's no way that they can tie that accident to him, because whoever crashed, they crashed before he even got there. So if he swerved around somebody way back, what that got to do with the accident that we seen? Nothing. This how dirty they is, though, man. You know what I'm saying? This how dirty it is. Rocky Arsenics, Lacy's agent, said in January that his client was cooperating with authorities in the investigation. Lacy transferred to LSU in 2022. He had the best season in 2024. When he recorded 58 catches for 866 yards and 9 touchdowns. Damn. Crazy. You know, his family gonna think about that forever. Yeah, his family gonna think about that forever. How his NFL dreams was cut short that quick because he was falsely accused of something, and it made him want to take his own life. Let me see here. Yeah, that's deep. That's deep, man. Hit that like button. Straight up. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me see here.
Kyren Lacy was innocent in this story.
Let me see here. Yeah. Yeah, we see the video. Let me see. I was trying to find, let me see if I can find I need to see if I can find this other video, the police body cam.
Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that, multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 course. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 course. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that, multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle.
All right, I found this interrogation. I'm in body cam joint. I found this body cam. Let me see if I can get that up there. Yes, I did. And I found the body cam of the police officer trying to influence him. Hold up. Let me make sure I get it up there. Hit that like button, man. Hit the subscribe button. I found the body cam footage. Let me get that up there right now. Yeah, I found the body cam footage. Yes, I did. All right, let's see what this body cam footage say. Let's see what this body cam footage say here, because this is the body cam footage, I guess, with the police officer trying to influence the person to say something different than what really happened. Smash that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. Let me see. Hold up.
So look, don't worry about filling any of this top information, like your name, your address. Don't worry about any of that. Just right here, if you could, I'll just have you write exactly what you saw. Just make sure to include, where you were.
I don't even know what the name of that highway.
So Highway 20. Highway 20. That you just.
All right, maybe my wife gonna figure out right quick.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes, and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't scared my car, but I wasn't even going, man. That lady in the back of me, she didn't show what's happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side.
Mm-hmm. So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? Right. And that's why you had to slam on your brake, the head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here. So look, don't worry about filling any of this top information, like your name, your address. Don't worry about any of that. Just right here, if you could, I'll just have you write exactly what you saw. Just make sure to include, where you were.
I don't know what the name of that highway.
So Highway 20. Highway 20. That you just.
All right, maybe my wife gonna figure out right quick.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes, and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't scared my car, but I wasn't even going, man. That lady in the back of me, she didn't show what's happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side.
Mm-hmm. So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? And that's why you had to slam on your brake, the head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here.
So in that video, you can clearly hear the suggestive nature indicating that I need you to say that you had to slam on your brakes and you had to avoid a charger.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, like, you know, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
But then you hear Gold Truck, the witness who's the Gold Truck, what he says. And he sasays verbatim.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't saw what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't skid marked or nothing because I wasn't even going that fast. That lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. She was going to run into the back of me and she pulled into the other side. In that video, you can clearly hear there's a bigger problem. I then obtained the actual written statement.
And this is from the Gold Truck.
This is the Gold Truck. Now, after the statement we just went through, notice I've obviously redacted names, addresses, and the cell phone number in fairness to the individual who is Gold Truck number one in oncoming traffic. See, the problem with that statement is it is in direct contravention to what was said minutes earlier. It's not written by him. And where it says signed, it's not signed, it's refused. But you see, when I have a witness who is the most critical, and he's telling you, I wasn't traveling fast. We know now that he wasn't. The data shows 2 point. There's a bigger problem.
So they forged documents that the man didn't sign, and they presented those as evidence. That's deep. And this is what the police do now. They forged documents that this man didn't sign of a statement saying what they wanted the statement to say to justify them to file the charges. It ain't the reason that man took his life. They wanted to make a case when it was the lady's fault. It wasn't his fault, it was the lady's fault. Because she said something different, they went with it. That's deep. Smash that like button, man. Hit the subscribe button.
Data shows that. Now he corroborates that. And he goes on to say, I didn't even make a skid mark. That woman behind me, she caused that accident. And you give me this statement that is refused? I got a problem. I got a problem with that. A big one. What he's saying is she had to avoid hitting him. He specifically stated she caused that accident. But I've got an affidavit for arrest warrant right here. Nowhere in here does it say anything that you guys just saw on body cam. To the contrary, about that vehicle, it says the Gold Truck took evasive action by emergency braking and driving off the roadway to avoid a head-on crash. But you just heard he said, I wasn't even going fast. I didn't even skid mark. So what data shows that. Now he corroborates that. And he goes on to say, I didn't even make a skid mark. That woman behind me, she caused that accident. And you give me this statement that is refused? I got a problem. Breaking are we referring to here? And what the hell was the point of this report? That is complete opposite. I would expect that you'll show this to where they can read what was said versus what was written just minutes earlier.
Just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, like, you know, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even going for it. That lady in the back of me, she didn't saw what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side.
So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct?
Right.
And that's why you had to slam on your brake, the head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now.
So this cop is trying to cover up for the lady in the back then. Yeah. I gotta just be real. That lady in the back must be white, because he's trying to cover up for her and she caused the accident. I don't get that. Why are you trying to cover up for somebody that caused the accident and then pin it on somebody that had nothing to do with the accident? Yeah, that right there leaves me skeptical. This dude ain't had nothing to do with this accident at all. But you made it your business to tell this person, a black man, that right on this paper that you had to slam on your brakes. And he telling him, yo, I didn't do that. That ain't what happened. I didn't even skid. The lady caused the accident. He totally ignored that. Totally. Because he knew that he was going to have to hold that lady accountable, and he chose not to. He wanted to hold somebody else accountable. Yeah. Ill.
Now, so just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here. Okay?
And it says right here, above the above statement, signed, refused. Dude said, I'm not signing that. It's not the truth. You're not going to force me to sign something that's a lie. Straight up. You're not going to make me sign something that's a lie. The cop didn't care. He still submitted that. That's dirty, man. It's dirty.
By the way, the body cam wasn't on for this statement. It was turned off before obtaining this statement. And this is what we get back in a file. Breaking are we referring to here?
The body cam was turned off in the statement. Oh, man. Yeah, that's deep. Alleged refused witness statement implicated Kyren Lacy as a suspect behind the fatal crash. So the cop wrote the statement, wanted the guy to sign it. He refused and said that wasn't it. And they submitted a refused statement that was a lie anyway. Yeah, that's deep. Yeah. Yeah. You can't even trust them.
Yeah, so what you'll see is in the top left of the screen, you're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his. Yeah, so what you'll see is in the top left of the screen, you're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, He was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his. Yeah, so what you'll see is in the top left of the screen, you're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his. Yeah, so which behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that investigation, behind Mr. Hall, at the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it
dirty. If you haven't already smashed that like button, hit the like button, man. Dirty. Straight dirty, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. They put it out there as of something that it wasn't. Yeah. They put it out there as of something that it was not. And that man took his life behind that all-way lie. Totally took his life behind their lies. Yeah. And they don't care. Not at all. If they don't get charged with a crime, they don't care. They won't be sorry. You know, because they go home every night. Yeah. They only get sorry when they charged with a crime. And the world is going to chastise them. Then, if that happens, then that's when they're going to get sorry. Yeah. Yeah. That's when they get sorry. If they are chastised and charged with a crime, they're going to be sorry. Straight up. Smash that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. Yeah, smash that like button and hit that subscribe button. Alright, shit, yeah. Yeah, hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button, man. Hey, you know, I appreciate all y'all. Facts. Alright, what they say here? Hold up. Hold up. I think they might have changed their mind about the National Guards. Let's see here. I think they might have changed the National Guards about the National Guards going to Illinois. We're about to see right now. Hold up. Hold up. I think the National Guards are going to be going out there. Let me see. Hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. Let's see what they say. Hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. And so the National Guards might be going out there.
Now, of course, around the nation, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has said the Trump administration plans to federalize over 300 members of the Illinois National Guard to aid law enforcement in efforts in Chicago. Now, Pritzker said in a statement that the Trump administration told him to either call up the troops or they would. He did not specify when or where they would be deployed to. Now, Pritzker also said, quote, "It is absolutely outrageous and un-American to demand a governor to send military troops within our own borders and against our will," end quote. The decision comes amid weeks of protests against ICE in Chicago, as well as protesters clashing with federal agents.
Smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button. They say these requests military be sent. So they might end up sending them out there after all. You know, they might be able to send them out there. Judge said Trump case deadline. Willis to testify. Okay. Willis got to testify. They might send him out there. Twist mounts to David touching the membered body. Let's see what
Singer David has hired a prominent defense attorney as rumors and speculation around the death of a 14-year-old girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, continue to grow. The teen was found dead in a car registered to the viral artist, who was in the middle of a tour when her remains were found. Now, as Celeste's family prepares to say goodbye, we're digging into the latest details as well as theories about what might have happened to her, and we're going to break it all down with criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Matt Mangino. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. One of the songs that rocketed David Anthony Burke, known by his moniker David, to stardom was Romantic Homicide. It is back on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, okay, the hit, which originally went viral on TikTok back in 2022. It has re-entered the charts at number 38, according to Billboard. So why the sudden interest? Well, for anybody who's been following us here on Sidebar, you know there is a lot going on right now. It seems that fans, new and old, are connecting that chilling song title with an investigation into the death of a teenager who was apparently associated or connected with David before she went missing in 2024. Now, we're talking about the fact that her body was found in a car registered in his name. We are covering every angle of the investigation by LAPD into Celeste Rivas Hernandez's death. The cause of death, which is so far listed as deferred on her death certificate. We don't know the manner of death either. Police say her decomposed body was found in the trunk of a Tesla at Hollywood Tow Yard in Los Angeles back in September. This was one day after she would have turned 15. LAPD sources told People magazine that Celeste remains had...
This situation getting big, man. This situation is getting big, and he done lawyered up, so they must got their eye definitely on him. You know, it must be they done asked him some more questions. She was found in his trunk, and I think the heat done turned up, and he knows that he's a suspect.
Likely been inside that car for weeks as it sat, apparently abandoned on a neighborhood street before it was towed. Tow yard workers had called the police when at least one person had realized there was this horrible smell coming from the car. That is when first responders found Celeste's body. It was apparently wrapped in a plastic bag. But here's the thing, despite that Tesla being registered to David, despite him apparently renting a property near where that car was parked, and even despite his alleged connection to the victim, he has not been named as a suspect. He has not been named as a person of interest. He has not been implicated officially in any wrongdoing or any crime. In fact, no one has been named as a suspect so far. In fact, an LAPD commanding officer said it is possible that Celeste wasn't even murdered. That perhaps her death, when we think about it, was it attributed to something else, an accident, overdose? In other words, there is a possibility that the only crime could be someone tried to hide her body. So as we await more testing, like toxicology reports, we know that the medical examiner performed an autopsy on Celeste's remains, determined that she was not pregnant, nor had she been pregnant in the last year. That's important because there's been speculation that
So they saying she hasn't been pregnant. They saying that her death might not be a crime, that it might just be somebody tried to cover it up. Y'all feeling that? Or y'all going for that? Or y'all think that they just saying that to the public to keep everybody comfortable? Because they could be just saying that just to, don't alert them, whoever are the targets of the investigation. And I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that it was what they're trying to say, and I think they just trying to keep him in place, from him, trying to do anything out of pocket, and then they're going to surprise him. But yeah, let me know what y'all think on that.
Could have been some sort of sexual relationship between David and this young girl. He's 20 years old right now. And as more and more rumors spread about David's alleged potential involvement, he has canceled his music tour, which was supposed to include more stops in the U.S., also abroad. He appears to have gone off the grid. We don't know where he is. His social media pages kind of void of new videos and photographs. But there is this. This is new. LA Magazine now reports that David has hired a prominent celebrity defense attorney, Blair Burke. Now, she has represented very high-profile clients: Harvey Weinstein, CeeLo Green, Bruno Mars, Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan. She also, by the way, most recently represented Monica Cementelli, the Los Angeles mom who was sentenced to life in prison for the 2017 murder of her celebrity hairstylist husband, Fabio Cementelli. So to talk about this, to talk about the implications of these new details, particularly hiring a defense attorney, let's bring in our own criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, Matt Mangino. To be clear, Matt doesn't represent us in a criminal arena, but we love having him on. He's a great guest. Matt, it's really good to see you. So a lot of online sleuths in the true crime community, they are obsessed with this case. They are digging into David's past internet activity, his posts that are either with Celeste, believed to be with her, believed to be about her.
By him going MIA on all the social media platforms, when social media is a big part of his life, and him not posting and him not doing the regular things that he used to do, that there is a sign of guilt. If you just quit all of the regular things that you used to do, that is an alert that you have some knowledge of what you're being investigated for. Straight up. Because you stopped your whole program for what? If you didn't do nothing, you're going to continue your program. You ain't going to stop making your money. You're not going to stop putting your grind down what got you where you at. If you didn't do nothing, now if you did something, of course, you're going to hide. You're going to go into a shell. You don't want to be seen. You don't want to be talked to. He might know that something's going to come out where as though it's going to lead back to him eventually. And he thinks that if he just sits there, I guess that's going to keep him out of the media spotlight. But nah, you a target in the spotlight right now. Everybody's talking about you. That right there ain't going to stop. She was a young girl. You're an adult and you're a public figure. You stop posting, ain't going to stop the people from talking about, especially with a situation like this.
There's been a lot of reaction to his hiring of Blair Burke. Before we even get into what the reaction is online, your thoughts on him apparently, reportedly, retaining Blair Burke.
Well, that's a good decision. Anytime your name starts swirling around in a criminal investigation, even though the police have made it clear that he's not a suspect at this point, it's always a good idea to hire an attorney. Before you talk to anybody, before the police come out and talk to you or ask to talk to you, have an attorney in place, have someone who can try to control the narrative at least, because of course he is a celebrity and his wealth and his resources come from his celebrity status. And so you want to protect that as well. And so a criminal defense attorney, someone particularly who's represented other people who are celebrities, can be very helpful in this very important time.
Why do it now? Why do it now? This is after, by the way, that Celeste was ID'd. This was after apparently the property he was renting was searched by law enforcement. They reportedly confiscated some materials. This is after he canceled his tour. This is, after the death certificate was published. Why now?
Well, I think, let's be honest. I mean, this is kind of a strange situation. There's no question there's a connection between him and this teenage girl, very young. Her body is found in his car. He has a place, or his manager has a place nearby where he may have been staying. We can't ignore the lyrics of some of his music, which are eerily close to what the facts of this case are. Now, prosecutors are not going to file homicide charges until they know the cause and manner of death. And, as your viewers, Jesse, know that this could be an accidental death. It could have been a suicide. It's unlikely that it's natural causes. But the question is it homicide, and what was the cause of death? Once those two things are answered, I think this investigation, really picks up some steam.
Talking law here, you know who, by the way, are experts in litigation? Our sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. This is America's largest injury law firm. This is a firm with over 1,000 attorneys. You know why they have so many? It is up to, when you hire a defense attorney. What could she be doing behind the scenes now? Could she be back-channeling communications with her sources, potential sources with law enforcement, the prosecutor's office, seeing whether or not charges are afoot? Could she be trying to tell them what her client is up to? Could she be releasing a statement? Should we expect a statement from her in the next few days?
Yeah, well, so, a seasoned, experienced.
I don't think so. I don't think she's going to make a statement. And if she does say something, she's going to say her client is innocent. But I really don't think she's going to say much. This is a homicide charge. A case that is the top level. So I doubt that she's really going to try to explain anything. This type of case, you're going to fight in the court. You're going to let the court deal with this. The public opinion isn't what you're trying to persuade right now.
Criminal defense attorney has a lot of contacts. So you have people in the prosecutor's office that you have relationships with, whether they be attorneys or detectives. You have people in the police department that you've had long time relationships with. What you want to do, at this point is get the lay of the land. I mean, what direction is this going in? What are they looking at? We know that his home was searched, I believe. And so you want to know what was found there if, in fact, they want to share. Also, maybe this is a situation where the most serious charge is going to be, abuse of a corpse or illegal disposal of a body. Well, now you want to try to control that narrative and begin to say, hey, my client has nothing to do with this, whatever the situation may be. So you want to know, knowledge is key in this situation. Intelligence, what can I find out so that I can protect my client, not only from criminal prosecution, but the public scrutiny that may come with all this.
I'm curious your thoughts on these comments. So according to Fox LA, people online have said a lot of things. You had one person who commented, "Oh, you cannot pay me enough to defend this dude. The evidence against is as big as Mount Everest." Another said, "Hiring a high-profile lawyer usually means you're guilty and just hoping for a lighter sentence." But of course, you had one social media user who pointed out, in the court of law, he is innocent until proven guilty, and hiring legal representation is within his and anyone's right and doesn't make anyone guilty. Matt, thoughts on those?
Well, I think the last comment, I think is the wisest comment, because listen, we don't even know what the circumstances are here. I'm sure he's feeling some pressure, whether it's from online, he canceled his tour. He realizes correctly that he needs some professional help. He needs someone to guide him through this situation, whether he's involved in it or not, because he's been involved in it now by implication, by public scrutiny. And for an entertainer, for a celebrity, that's extremely important. So he has to make sure that he navigates this with the best possible advice. I'm sure he has some sort of media people who are crisis management who are also helping him with this. But, you need to have a team together to make sure that you're dotting the I's and crossing the T's in terms of how you best protect yourself in this situation.
Just want to put a point on this. Would it have been wise for him to have retained a criminal defense attorney the minute it was reported that a body was found in a car registered in his name? Or, and put that aside, that's one part. And B, just to be clear, this does or does not indicate that there could be a prosecutorial decision soon. In other words, that there could be an arrest, that there could be an indictment, something of that nature. Just want to put a point on those two.
Yeah, so Jesse, there's a couple ways of looking at it.
I think, of course, the body found in your car, you better hire an attorney from the door. But a body found in your car with somebody that you was dealing with, you know there's some type of connection. So, you know, however was involved with this wasn't thinking. It was poor decision making. And, you know, I think really somebody going to suffer a consequence for this real soon.
So number one, you know, it's strange to be out on tour and say, hey, a body was found in your car. But on the other hand, you know, he may say, well, geez, I don't know anything about this. I don't know how this happened, or somebody else has access to my car, and think, well, this isn't going to come back on me. But then all of a sudden, as you see this churning in the media and, you know, on social media, now maybe you say, geez, maybe I better get an attorney. Okay. You know, that could be part of the thought process as well here. But on the other hand, I think your point is well made. Someone may have called from the DA's office, says, listen, we're getting some preliminary reports from the coroner. We don't have a coroner's report yet, but you should get a lawyer. And those are the kind of things that could happen here. I mean, we're speculating, but I could see it, you know, from both perspectives.
So let me ask you this real quick about the timeline. So last year, Celeste was apparently reported missing several times, having apparently run away from her home in Lake Elsinore, California. She had been seen on earlier surveillance video outside of a liquor store in that area before apparently jogging out of frame. This was believed to have been the last time that she was seen, at least on camera. The timeline has since shifted. We talked about this on a previous sidebar, but after TMZ obtained surveillance footage that appears to show Celeste on September 8th, 2024. So this is months after she was reported missing. According to TMZ, the Nest video came from neighbors who said that her family was kind of upset, or she was upset about some kind of ding-dong ditch prank. There's apparently yelling. There's the use of racial slurs. It's unclear if Celeste had returned home at this point or was just stopping by, but it is a chilling detail. You know, this was exactly 1 year before her remains would be found in that Tesla. When we're talking about the timeline, when we're talking about, Matt, about when she may have been killed, how long she could have been in that car, what were her movements or actions before her death, how significant is this in the investigation? And again, he retains an attorney after all this footage comes out. I'm not saying it's connected at all, not saying it's related at all, but I have to imagine this footage is significant.
Well, yes. I mean, a timeline is always important. You know, trying to determine, you know, when this potential homicide or when her death occurred, you know, where she was, you know, immediately before that, if you can piece that together, because, you know, that tells us some very important things. Number one, where was David at that time? You know, when you allege that her death occurred, that's significant. Were there other people possibly involved? Was there other connections to her? You know, where were those people at that same time? So timeline is always something that prosecutors and investigators want to go back and establish, because it puts people in specific places when a potential crime occurred.
And I got to ask you about this. Okay, so there's new reporting from TMZ, News Nation, ABC News that apparently shows that Riverside County Sheriff's deputies, they were called out to Celeste Lake Elsinore home 11 times over 14 months between February 2024 and April 2025. Now, it's not clear how many of those calls involved Celeste, maybe involved other members of the family, but there is an important note here that News Nation reports that police acknowledged that deputies visited her home twice on March 19th, 2024. So that's the same day that she was seen outside that liquor store. Celeste's ex-boyfriend, or parent ex-boyfriend, a boy named Damian Hernandez, spoke with TMZ about his middle school relationship with her, telling the outlet that Celeste had a tough home life. TMZ's Charles Latibaudiere told Ashley Banfield, he said that she would say that her parents were really mean and that she didn't like being at home. Okay, Matt, so how critical is that part to this investigation?
The parents was probably trying to give her some damn guidance, and she wasn't listening. She wanted to do her own thing. If she's saying the parents was real mean, they was probably trying to give her some guidance, and she wanted to go do her own thing. So, damn. They didn't take that into account. They didn't look at that like, man, the parents was trying to be on her, but then they just like probably let go when she kept running away. Like, I can't do nothing about it. She keep running the damn way.
Well, I think it's critical because, it appears there's a period of time where she's unsupervised by any adults. I mean, we're talking about the age of 14 years old. She's not at home. Where is she? What is she doing? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. Was she attending school? How is she getting to school? I mean, there's a lot of things that you could piece together. I mean, we're talking about a child, essentially, who is missing and is unsupervised. And where is she and how is she continuing to exist in the system, maybe without attending school, without, children's services being involved? There's a lot of questions with regard to that.
And I go back to this point. You mentioned it before. Why would he hire a criminal defense attorney or reportedly do so? Because he may not actually be responsible for what happened here. He may not be attached to this in any way. There's something that's been circulating here, at least I've been trying to make the point that, is it possible that he's being targeted? What do I mean by that? I think it's really odd, the circumstances of where Celeste's body was found. Because here's what we know from police about how this whole investigation got started. So the Tesla is marked as violating street parking rules on August 27th, 2025. A parking citation is issued September 3rd. September 5th, it is impounded. Celeste's remains were found September 8th. Days later, detectives with LAPD's robbery homicide unit, they served a search warrant at the nearby home that David was apparently renting. They took out several bags of evidence. Exactly what it is, we don't know. He canceled his tour. And on the same day that Celeste's body was released to her family, movers were apparently seen taking things out of this LA rental home. And the homeowner told TMZ that David's manager, Josh Marshall, had told them that they'd be breaking the lease. Okay, let me ask you this. It is strange for someone to, let's say, kill Celeste, put her in this car, and their body's been decomposed. That car has apparently been sitting there in public view for quite some time. There's reportedly been complaints about it, a citation, it's been towed. It seems to me, is it possible somebody wanted that body to be found and wanted that body to be found in the car that was registered to David, as opposed to someone committed a crime, they panicked, they didn't have enough time to dispose of the body. That feels incredibly, incredibly sloppy. I mean, I'm not doing a conspiracy theory here, but I do wonder if that's something that has to be explored.
Well, I think everything has to be explored, Jesse. And it struck me when I read some of the news reports that, his one hit song specifically talks about dragging a person and putting them into the trunk of a car. And we learn now that based on this incident that's occurred, he's back on the Billboard chart.
Hold up. Now, I ain't know that. His one hit song talks about dragging a body in the trunk? Oh yeah, that don't look good. I ain't know that. Yeah, I ain't know that. And then her body get found in the trunk? Hold up. Yeah, that don't look good. Oh man. The one hit song talks about dragging a body in the trunk. Oh man. That can't be. That just can't be. That can't be.
Starts with this same song. It's returned. We live in strange times. It's sometimes bad news can be as profitable as good news. for a celebrity, for an artist. So could this be someone who's trying to replicate the song? Is this some effort to get the music back into the public domain where people are going to start listening to it, that it ends up on the Billboard Top 100? Like I said, Jesse, sometimes we don't know the difference between good news and bad news and how it impacts you. And I think something like that needs to be thoroughly examined as well.
When do you think we'll get an answer? When do you think we'll get more information?
Well, as soon as the medical examiner's report comes down, that report is going to provide us with the cause of death. But we do have a decomposed body, so that could take a little more time. And it's also going to give us the manner. And if the manner of death is homicide, then this case is going to explode. If it's undetermined, that might be another issue that has an impact on what direction this investigation goes.
Well, one thing I didn't ask you is, do you think he had, there was reporting about he's been cooperative with law enforcement. An LAPD commander says couldn't confirm whether he's been cooperative. Do you think at some point in the last month or so, he has spoken with law enforcement? He sat down for an interview?
Wow. If he did that without an attorney, then he made a huge mistake. And I don't say that that means he did anything wrong. I'm just saying anybody who is a potential suspect or is being investigated by the police, who sits down with the police without an attorney, has made a grave mistake.
Matt Mangino, let's see where this goes next. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Jesse.
And that is.
Hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. Yeah, I mean, if he put her in the trunk of his car and he made music saying that, he definitely a special individual. But then when you think about it, who would have the keys to his car? Somebody on his team. So I think about it like, if he wasn't around at the time of this situation, he was on tour, then somebody on his team could have tried to do something with her. She rejected it. It went too far, and they placed her in the trunk. Or it could be he had a situation with her and it went too far and he put her in the trunk, allegedly. So I don't know which way it could have went, but for her to be inside of his trunk, it had to be somebody connected to him. From what I see, I don't see somebody getting inside a Tesla trunk that you own without access to the keys that you got somewhat connected to you to get inside of your trunk. So it could be somebody that was connected to him that tried to do something with her and she might have denied him, and it went too far. Things like that happen. They looking at her, she dealing with him, and they might have wanted to deal with her and she wasn't with it. And they went too far. There's some crazy individuals out here. Straight up. But it would be crazy for him to put her in his trunk and he made a song about it. Damn. Yeah. But it got to be somewhere connected around him, though. Yeah. I doubt it's not somebody connected to him or him having involvement. It's something to do with something around him. I don't think it's a random person from not knowing him, just nobody having something to do with it and get her in his trunk. I don't think that. I think it's something connected somewhere along the line and it's going to come out. They're going to get to the bottom of it. When we see that situation with the Brian Kohlberger and them 4 people in Idaho or something like that, that was unalived in that house and they found out that he did it, I think with them kind of situations now, being as though that all the cameras and the technology, they gonna find out. You know, I think when they want to find out, I think some of the things they don't even be really too concerned about, but in certain situations, they be more concerned about it and they find out. But some things, they like, man, we gonna find out about this. He said her family not making enough noise for me. And that is true. We definitely don't hear too much noise coming from the family. I would agree with that. You would think the family would be barking a little louder, letting it be known like, yo, that's my child. And, you know, they sitting back. Yeah. They don't even really want to be seen with it. Definitely different, man. Yeah. It's definitely a funny situation, man. And if you haven't already smashed the like button, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. And share the live. Let me see. Shout out to all y'all. Shout out to all of y'all in the Chizat. For sure. Let me see here. Yeah. Yeah. Hit that like button, man. Hit that subscribe button. Let's see, for the girl caught the kidnapped everything. Gene Deal breaks side.
Gave him 50 months, but you got to realize he already had 14 months in it practically, and he's going to get credit for 2 months of that 14 months. That give him 16 months. He's going to do 24 months, which is going to give him about 30 months because he only had to do 85% in the feds, and he goes to probably a halfway house. So he got off like a fat rat in a cheese factory. But for a dude like Diddy going to jail and spending all that time, you know, I'm not saying it's going to be rough or nothing like that because his former president of Bad Boy, Kirk Burrows, with the federal jail. You understand? Lil' Kim with the federal jail. So, you know, because the type of dude he is, you know, he'll make it. He'll be all right. And plus, they're going to send him to a camp, bruh. He'll be in somebody's camp or somebody's dormitory, whereas that it'll be real light for him. So, you know, he'll see the streets back again in 24 months. He'll be out within 2 years.
What y'all think about that, man? Y'all think Diddy gonna be out within 2 years? Or do y'all think Diddy might get some leniency from the president? Or y'all think Trump ain't messing with it?
It seems like a lot saying 50 months and everything like that, but it's not really a lot. Not at all, bro. It's not a lot at all. You know what I'm saying? I know for executive, somebody who's been a jet setter, somebody who's been going all around the world, been in all kind of, you know, stadiums, galas, and living in mansions. You know, it's a lot of people who lived in mansions that's in federal jail. You know, you got Senator Melendez from Jersey in jail. You got a lot of them in jail doing way more time than him. You know what I'm saying? So he'll be all right, man. I think that, you know, he got off like a fat rat in a cheese factory, bro. You know what I'm saying? He got off based on how the judge started the whole sentence. He was talking about coercion. He was talking about relevant conduct. He was talking about, he even said that with Diddy conduct and what he was doing, he should get a sizable sentence or something like that. You know, like his sentences should be a large sentence. And
y'all feel Diddy came off? Do y'all feel the judge giving him 50 months was a break for Diddy? Honestly, I do. You know, I feel that Diddy definitely came off from starting off looking at a life sentence and then ending up with 50 months. Yeah. Knowing that them people was trying to bury him and he only got 50 months. I think he came off. I mean, I hope that brother understands that your money ain't as powerful as you thought it was, you know, because when he was talking about being locked up, he said they got Puff Daddy in jail. When he was talking to Kanye, he was like, man, they got Puff Daddy in jail. He thought that his money was so long, he lost touch with reality. Thought he could never go to jail. Money too long. But they showed him. Money don't have the same value that it used to have in the 80s, in the 90s. It don't got the same value. This day and age, it's a lot of people making money. So they see a lot of people doing crimes that got money. And they like more make an example out of the people that got money to show them that your money ain't what you think it is.
I think that, you know, 50 months, I don't see that as being large. You know what I'm saying? It's not even a third. I think the third of the guidelines were the probation report said. I think the probation report started at 72 months. So it's almost, what was it? That's like 72 months, 50 months. Well, close to not even a third. It's a little over a third of what the probation report said he should get. But it is what it is.
So you feel like he got off? 50 months wasn't enough for you?
Yeah, listen to me, man. What people don't understand is they look at the Mann Act as only being something about prostitution. There's different sections. If you read the Mann Act, it talks about rape, it talks about coercion, it talks about somebody being beaten, it talks about a lot of different things in that Mann Act that gives people a lot of time, because you could get up to, I think, about 135 months for that Mann Act. You understand what I'm saying? You can get up to 135 months. That's close to 10 years, I think, or better. So it's different versions, it's different sections in that whole act based on what they call relevant conduct that you do in that stuff. And then he did a lot of shit. He beat people, he drugged people. The judge even said this. You understand? The judge spoke about coercion. And no matter what the what you call them people, the jurors, you know, said and thought and everything like that.
Honestly, the judge felt like Diddy was guilty of everything. Yeah. The judge felt like Diddy was guilty of everything. The judge sat there on that trial and listened to all the evidence. The witnesses coming up there. The judge thought Diddy was guilty of everything. The jury made their decision, but, you know, the judge been doing it for a while, presiding over cases, seeing different situations, and, you know, he know that them celebrities, they get them high-powered lawyers, and, you know, they get the chance to convince the jury otherwise. But I think the judge felt that Diddy was guilty of everything. Yeah. And letting him know, like, you got another chance at life. You got out of this situation. You got a break. You know, take this time to reflect and really be thankful. Straight up. Be thankful that you didn't get a life sentence.
The judge spoke about his coercion, his relevant conduct. The judge spoke about, you know, mitigating circumstances. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the judge spoke about. You know, look at here. He got caught with drugs. Never got charged with the drugs. And the judge knew that. That's why the judge said relevant conduct. You understand? He got caught with guns. Guns in the house with the serial number. The judge knew that. You understand? Relevant conduct. You understand? That he didn't get charged with. The beating of Jane, hitting in the head, the assault, and all that stuff of Cassie. All those things, they probably couldn't. I don't guess they could have charged him with them, but it came up in the trial. All that's relevant conduct. You understand? And people don't understand all the things that he was doing. Then the judge made a point. When you go and talk to the managers and you talk to people about hiding evidence. You understand? Remember the fact in the trial when it came up that he gave a guy $100,000 and some thousand dollars or $100,000 to keep the tape that from cashing them? That's relevant conduct. Your judge was speaking about all that. So now,
definitely though, the judge looking at all that too. You know, you out there convincing people to give you the evidence, paying $100,000, settling. Diddy made out, man. We got to be real. He got a fresh start. You know, after this, he gonna have his probation. But man, I hope he see where he went wrong, and don't think that, you know, he can do the same thing he been doing. Sometimes people take them wake-up calls and value them, and sometimes people feel like they can do it better. And if he feel like that he gonna come out and do it better and play that same game but do it differently, they gonna nail him for that if he do that again.
Now, if he's doing that, and the judge is saying all of the stuff that he did that was wrong, what else? Having security take people, put them up in abandoned buildings and threaten them. The judge had all that information. So it was no way this judge was going to let Diddy walk away. And talking about Mark Allegara, his lawyer talk about, well, I want him to walk out of court today. I want him to only have 14 months or whatever. Come on, man. The judge, after he made those statements, they was toying with the judge because they had made so many statements. The judge had made statements prior to any one of those lawyers speaking. How the hell could they even say some of the stuff they just said? I thought when the lawyers, I was happy when Diddy's lawyers was speaking because they was burying him more than they was helping him. If you listen to what his lawyers was saying, you know, based on them speaking for him, the best person that spoke for Diddy was Diddy this day.
Y'all feel like his lawyers was burying him? You know, the lawyers was going to war for him. And, you know, we know he had to admit some of the things, you know, that he was found guilty for. He had to take ownership. So, of course, the lawyers is going to, you know, accept some responsibility. They can't just be like, man, Diddy didn't do nothing, because that there would have made it look like you acting like you didn't play a part, like you were here for nothing. So they got to accept the ownership. And I mean, it is what it is after you convicted. So, I mean, I don't think his lawyer hurt him. I think that, you know, they was showing the judge that their client accepts responsibility for his actions, being as though that he was convicted. What y'all think?
The best person that spoke for Diddy was Diddy. All that other stuff and all the things that he did and he got away with it, he going at Suge Knight and them with guns. You understand? There was testimony in the trial about that. There was testimony he'd go into Kid Cudi's house, allegedly Mike having somebody set his car on fire, tearing up all his Christmas gifts, throwing an ashtray, hitting somebody in the head with it, beating Cassie on multiple occasions. There was a lot of stuff that came out in the trial that the judge knew about it. So the judge couldn't just let him walk out of there with nothing. But the judge knew, you know, listen here, bro. The judge knew gave him, well, not gave him, but let him off easy, bro. He got let off easy. And don't get me wrong, bro. I don't want to see a black man in jail. I don't want to see a black man in jail. But I don't care nothing about Diddy going.
Yeah, I'm ready to say, you want to see Diddy in jail. You know, you got a personal relationship, so you can't be saying you don't want to see a black man in jail. You know, you gotta sit there and say that somebody that's breaking the law to that extent, regardless if they black or white. You can't say that. I think a lot of people want to say, I don't want to see a black man in jail. But if they got crimes to a serious magnitude, then it's exceptional. I mean, we got to start saying, like, if you commit these type of crimes and you're a criminal of this stature, no matter what you are, you deserve to suffer the consequences. So, you know, it's like, when do you mature? Diddy 50-something years old? When was he going to stop? I don't think he would have ever stopped if he wasn't chastised, because he felt like he was bigger than the program. So the situation that he put himself in made him, you know, have to sit down, and hopefully he see things with a different light.
In the jail. That's a big difference to me. I never want to see a black man going to jail based on the circumstance, based on the situation, based on he may not have the legal team, because a lot of us get railroaded. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of us get railroaded. So I don't never want to see no black, you know, yo, that's what these cats are gonna be saying. Yo, they want to see a nigga. Nah, bro. I fought to keep guys out of jail for 27 years. But do I care about him going to jail? Nah, I don't, bro. I'm sorry. God just gonna have to take that off my heart. But that's my enemy. He made it clear. He made it clear when he was sending niggas at me, when he was doing when he was setting dudes up, when he was when he cursed Wolf mother out, when he set Wolf up to go at BMF. And it became my enemy, bro, as well as I became his. So why should I care? He did a whole lot of shit to a whole lot of people, and now he's paying for it. So all these cats, I guess y'all get y'all visitation rights. Y'all, some of y'all can get y'all conjugal visits right with him. I don't give a shit. That's how I feel about it, bro. So his letter to the judge, you understand? I read his letter. You understand? He was talking about how, okay, disgusting, how shameful, how sickening he was, and how what he did to Cassie, he has to dream about that night after night after night after. Come on, man. And I understand you're going to say whatever you got to say to get out of prison. And I don't blame him for that. You understand? Even stuff that I was talking about, and people was talking about, he don't know what he talking about. He admitted to, yo, Mighty, yo, Art, did I tell you that he got hooked on drugs when Kim Porter took that corkscrew and cut his wrist? They even brought that up in the trial. They brought it up today. The defense brought it up today. He brought it up in his letter that he'd been on drugs for 24 years. But then when they brought it up, he didn't say, that's because I tried to beat my baby mama ass and she cut my wrist. They didn't add that to, that's why he had the operation on his wrist. You understand? They left that part out. But that's how he got hooked on those opiates. So now, the letter that he wrote the judge, I guess the judge looked at that because he mentioned it. And then you got to understand too, his kids spoke. He spoke about the kids in his letter, that he wanted to be a father, he wanted to be a son and all that. And then the kids ended up speaking in trial. So if the judge was looking at the probation minimum of 72 years, he may have a change of heart, because after Diddy spoke, he went and he said, we're gonna do a 5-minute break. And he came back and did the sentencing. This was the longest sentencing probably in the history of the federal court, bro. I don't think it's been a sentencing this long in federal court. Usually they take 2.5 hours. You understand? 2.5, maybe 3 hours. This took what? 6-7 hours. 6-7 hours for the sentencing. He let everybody on Diddy's team speak. Each one of the lawyers. Not only one lawyer spoke about the victims. Only one lawyer spoke about the victims. And I think that was a setup, because Diddy spoke about the victims. And that was Cassie and Jane. You know, he apologized to them for bringing Jane into his life and the whole 9 yards and bringing her to his mess. But none of the lawyers spoke about the victim. One lawyer, the lady, she was crying on the stand. Did you know she was crying on the stand?
Nah, I ain't hear about that.
The female lawyer was crying on the stand, man. That shit is crazy, man. But the judge said he's a puppet. The judge said, no, the prosecutor said he's a master puppeteer. He's a master puppeteer, she said. That shit was crazy to me, man. It was real crazy. Yo, and the lawyers, when they were speaking on Diddy being in prison and the circumstances of him being in prison, I didn't never hear about this, and nobody ever said anything about this. And I want to know if it's in the prison records. They said one of the guards stopped a dude from shanking Diddy. Now, I'm like, if he was doing all this positive shit in jail, and they was talking about he was all the inmates loved him and they was employing him and doing standing ovation. I wonder what inmate was trying to shake him. Was that one of the Tupac? Was that one of the Tupac fans or whatever?
Man, that's jail, Gene. You know, it's jail. You know, you dealing with a whole bunch of different men personalities stuck in the same area. You never know how somebody feeling in jail. You know, and celebrities, they not exempt. They regular when they in jail. You know, somebody will get at you, no matter who you are. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button.
I was one of Biggie fans because they said that the guard, they said that in court. One of the lawyers, one of the guards stopped one of the individuals that was trying to shank him, bro. And that was crazy. Nobody, I never, that didn't leak. Everything leaks from prison, but that didn't leak. Nobody wrote home and said, yo, dudes is in here trying to stab Diddy up. But the lawyers mentioned that today. I want to see if they're going to investigate that right there. You know what I'm saying? And base that, or he probably used that, base that on trying to help Diddy getting into one of those camps or one of those programs that, you know, he ain't got to worry about nothing.
Well, we know Diddy gonna go to a camp. We know he's a high profile celebrity. When the sentencing come, they're gonna definitely send him to a camp somewhere, somewhere where it's not gonna be as locked down. Yeah, they even probably gonna shorten his sentencing up for him and let him leave early release. You know how they play the favoritism game with that. That's one thing we do know, that they played the favoritism game with that.
And what's crazy is this, he got to worry about something now. You understand? Because he thought he didn't have to worry about nothing because he thought he was going to a speaking engagement. They was that bold enough to be setting up speaking engagements as if he was going to get out of jail. They were saying that he was going to get out of jail. He had speaking engagements set up for Miami.
Now, that was out of pocket. That was out of pocket. I think that was like smacking the judge in the face, saying, I know what you're going to do. That right there is like him trying to flex his power as well. And that could be a reason why the judge made sure that you don't go to this speaking engagement. Yeah, you're not going anywhere. You're going to sit down. And I really think that it was no way that he should have planned anything. Let it be known that you're planning anything before your sentencing. Like, come on, man. It should have been acting like you wasn't going nowhere. The judge like, hold up, you ain't going nowhere no time soon. Speaking engagement where? Man, you better sit on down. Lay it down, man. Crack 5, crack 10, CO.
The judge heard that, and I guess the judge was like, whoa, hold up. And then they brought in the guy from re-entry who was an ex-prisoner who now he does re-entry in Miami. I'm familiar with the re-entry programs because we used to use them for the state too. Now, this guy spoke and said that it was more so not like a speaking engagement. It was more like a healing session. Hold up, you forgot the funny Yo, they said this dude, one of the lawyers said that Diddy was a civil rights activist now. Can you believe that? He said he was a civil rights activist. I was like, they are going for they dropping all the jewels now. They trying to get this mofo out. They don't care what they gotta say, what lies they gotta tell. They on getting his way out, man. And if it was anybody else other than him, I would have been like, yo, get that brother out. When you don't care about your enemies, you don't care about people you don't f with, it didn't make a bit of difference to me. Let him go ahead and look back and see all the shit that he did. And I believe he did, because once those drugs start wearing out his system, once he don't need those opiates no more, if he was off of them, it was no proof. He ain't had no drug tests when he was in prison. You know what I'm saying? Drugs come through all those systems just like anywhere else. So then who's to say that he wasn't on some kind of substance? You know what I'm saying? But and once he got drug free and he's no longer using those drugs now, he started getting his clarity back on who he was, or who he should have been, or what he should have been doing. And maybe he's thinking about all the people that he did wrong to, and he don't have the drugs to cloud his mind no more. Don't you know that they said he was traumatized by the notorious, they didn't even use Big's name. They said he was traumatized by his friend that was in a drive-by shooting in LA. Yo, my brother, I was like, these lawyers will say any damn thing. They'll say anything right now to try to get this dude to walk out this door today. They gave him 50 months, bro. They gave him 50 months, you know what I'm saying? And 50 months, it wouldn't be hard to do in no camp or no kind of program. He'll be all right. Like I said, if Kirk Burrows did a couple of years in the federal penitentiary, Lil' Kim did a couple of years in the federal penitentiary, he'll be all right. He ain't gonna have no problem with that. They said that Diddy, yo, check it out. They said that Diddy started his own re-entry program and made up his own program in the prison system. Now, he didn't do any of this stuff until after he didn't take no drug courses, no drug classes. He didn't take, he wasn't doing none of that stuff until after he came off the trial and he only had the Mann Act. So what the lawyers did was, the lawyers then went and told him, yo, you got to see if you could start a program. You got to see if you could do some things, you know, so we can face this with the judge. And because this judge was a new judge, they tried to pull a wool over his eyes by saying Diddy was doing all these programs, Diddy was doing all this stuff, you understand, because he's a better person and now he knows right from wrong. Now he knows right.
Diddy knew right from wrong from the door. He just chose to do wrong. But you know, when people get in them situations, they gotta run that game. It's that manipulation, you know. And I hope that he finds it in himself to live right and do better. But you know, manipulation come with this, man. Yeah, until you mature and are delivered, you're gonna be a manipulator. Especially if you feel like you got some power and you in position.
From wrong and everything. The only thing that was heartbreaking for me to hear in this whole trial thing and this whole and it was heartbreaking, man. This broke my heart, man, and I don't give a F about this dude. When Quincy said he's my father. When Quincy said he was my father, that broke my heart, bro. Because I know Al be sure. And I know Al is his father. Diddy might have been his daddy. And for him to go that damn hard and get up there and say what he said, that's the only thing that like broke my heart about this whole shit, bro. You understand? Because I know how Puff, when I was with him, how he treated Kim. And I can imagine when he got to be Diddy and Brother Love and the way some of the stuff Roger Barnes said about him, you understand, and how he was doing Kim, that it was crazy. But I know Kim had got brave enough where she was defending herself. So my whole thing about it is that, man, that I know that broke Al's heart too, bro. And I'm gonna give him a call because, you know, Quincy don't understand that he was brainwashed too. You understand? And a lot of shit that Al didn't do and couldn't come around is because of Kim was in fear of Puff doing something to Quincy and try to have something to do with Al. You understand what I'm saying? But to see that dude go out like that, that was nasty to me, man. Because Al is a good dude. You know what? Al, you know what I'm saying? Al is, like I was saying, brother, Al is a good dude. And, you know, when I heard, you know, Quincy and all the other kids, they was apologizing for their father, and they was apologizing for Puff and saying that he's a changed man. And they apologized to Cassie. They apologized to how their father was treating the women. And when I heard the girls them say, I could tell by talking to him now, he's changed and everything. He's changed. That showed to me that he was really not a good person to them. because they was talking about how much he changed, or either they was just saying that. Either they was just saying he was changed. You understand? Because
I mean, you know they trying to make it look good for the court. Of course they're going to say he changed because they know all the things he was accused of. The things that they heard the people testify, they was right there in the trial. So that's just common practice to say that you changed, to want the judge to look at the person as somebody different than what they've been convicted or accused of. So of course they're going to say that.
do you really believe that he's remorseful for doing all the shit that he did to Cassie, or any other woman that was involved? You know what I'm saying? With all these lawsuits that's coming out,
Man, let's be real though. People that actively do things like that, when they get caught, that's when they care about what's going on. People don't care about what they doing that's doing things like that until they get caught. But while they doing it, they doing it. They in an addiction. They on drugs. They addicted to whatever they into, the lifestyle. But when they get caught in their chest tie, it's a common practice for everyone to care and say they're sorry. That don't mean it. They just sorry they got caught. And that's like with everybody. Now, afterwards, you can deliver from it, but you got to show that you deliver. So I say, as when somebody's in the situation and they saying that I'm changed and I'm different, you just feel about that situation because the situation you're in. But you got to show improve afterwards. This is how you know when one has changed and has been delivered, from their actions after. I don't take an account of nothing from the door. Afterwards, your ability to do different is for others to observe that you different, not you just saying you got intentions. And that's what I see right now. Diddy got intentions to be different because of the situation he's in. But is he really going to be different? We're going to have to see that when he get out.
we're going to find out that it's a lot of other women that he probably put their hands on. There's a lot of other women he probably put their hands on, bro. With all these other lawsuits come on, because, you know, you can't believe because you seen that Cassie video that that's the only one. If he was doing that, Gina said it. Man, you know, we could watch and see, bro. Because I heard somebody, like 2 or 3 other people file lawsuits today. So they're going to be going at him, bro. They're going to be going at him.
You know them lawsuits is coming. You know them lawsuits is coming. He got convicted too. Them lawsuits is coming, man. You know, yeah, when you interacting with people and you doing wrong, that's why I say, man, you got to watch the interactions. Everybody ain't for you to interact. You know, the money has made it for you to be a target. Yeah, money gets you to spend it and you can do certain things, but you automatically a target with the money. Everybody want the money. Your lifestyle changed. The things that people do that don't have money, the interactions that they have are different from the ones that got money, because you're automatically a target when you get that paper.
And that's just a place where they're going to know he's going to be at for the next 2 or 3 years, so they can have them papers served on him. Because it's easy to serve them papers on him now because they know he's in the prison system. So a lot of lawsuits going to be served on him right now. Watch and see what I tell you. Though this is just a small part of it, man, I believe that Kim Porter, Big, Craig Mack, Black Rob, and I'm not going to even Wolf, Riz, I'm just mentioning the people in the Bad Boy family, bro, is that they can rest in peace knowing that some kind of justice has happened to dude for all his antics, all the shit that he put people through, all the things that he's done. You understand? Kim Porter decide not to deal with dude no more, bro. Kim Porter decide that she wasn't taking those ass whoopings no more? Hold on. Kim Porter had decided she wasn't taking those ass whoopings no more. Kim Porter decided she wasn't dealing with Puff no more. You understand? But she may be turning on his over in his grave knowing that his son would even say something about he taught me how to treat women like queens when he got a court case coming up himself. Christian Combs. He said, my father taught me how to treat women like queens. What? Do you know what you do you know what your father is on trial for? Is that the new Diddy that taught you how to do that? Because if you learn from the old Diddy, I'm waiting for Chick to come up with a black eye or something. But in his testimony, my father taught me how to treat women like queens. And I know the judge is looking at that stuff like they just talking. And I don't understand why the judge just let everybody on Diddy team talk, bro. Everybody on Diddy team talk. And that's unusual. That's very much unusual in a sentencing.
He wanted to let them talk, hear what they had to say. You know, this was an unusual case. This was a different type of sentencing. So, yeah, I'm sure he was going to let more people talk. Different situation, you know, different cases get different things. If you haven't already smashed the like button, man, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and share this live. Yeah. Go check out the merch, sbgbtv.com. And, you know, I appreciate all of y'all that rock with SBGBTV. Yeah. Hit the like button, share the live, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And y'all know we're going to come back in about an hour. Yeah. We're going to do the late night live, man. And I appreciate all of y'all that rock with me, man. So, you know, I hope to see y'all on the late night live. Subscribe, share the live, hit the like button, all that. And I appreciate all y'all. Become a member. It's only $3.99. Yeah. Appreciate all y'all that support the channel and that be locked all the way in. Yeah. Straight up. Put a 1 in the chat if you're a member of the channel so we can shout you out. And I appreciate y'all. Most definitely. Yeah. And we locked in. You know, we're going to come back for the late night show. And yeah. We definitely going to rap. And we're going to do our thing. How we do. You know, I'm going to let some people come up and speak, but we are not going to have that out-of-pocket stuff tonight. Not at all. For sure. Mike Pena. Bless Niger Beauty. Snoopy Mac. Too's Much. C. Brown. Yeah. Man, I appreciate all y'all that rock with SBGB TV. D-Twin. Yeah, man. We definitely be back for the late night show. I'm going to take me an hour break. I'm going to set the live up. We'll be back in like an hour. And we going in. You know how we do. Non-stop. For sure. Yeah. We got to talk about these topics, though. Yeah. This is a good one. And I am going to clip some of this one, too. Most definitely. Yeah. But I appreciate all y'all. Mel G. Appreciate all y'all, man. Stay locked in. Hit that subscribe button, man. Smash that like button. Yeah. And we locked. We're going all the way up. Non-stop. We fighting through the struggle. And y'all know what it is, man. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. And it's your boy Deezy. You already know it's not about the setback. It's about the get back. Run the table. Nah.